Thanks for watching. I'm Margot Kinberg, and this is In the Spotlight, a closer look at a crime novel. Novels of psychological suspense can really draw the reader in, especially if it's one of those slow burn tension building novels where you want to keep turning and swiping pages to see what happens next. One of the best known writers of psychological suspense novels was Ruth Rendell, especially under her alter ego name Barbara Vine. Let's take a look at one of those novels today and turn the spotlight on Barbara Vine's A Fatal Inversion. Alec Chipstead and his wife have recently purchased Wivas Hall in Suffolk. When their beloved dog passes away, they decide to have a burial in the Victorian pet cemetery they found on their property. To their shock, they find that there are the remains of a woman and a baby in that cemetery. The police are called in right away and an investigation begins. The story hits home for Adam Vern Smith, who inherited Wivas Hall from his grandfather and who was the owner of the place for a time. In fact, he spent the summer of 1976 there with his friend Rufus Fletcher, as well as Shiva Manjuri, Vivian Goldman, and Hitchhiker, who called herself Zosie. It was supposed to be an idyllic summer, and it started out that way as everyone gathered together. But it turned dark and tragic, and Adam and his friends made a promise not to reveal anything and to have no contact with each other afterwards. So far, they've kept that promise. But now the police are investigating. And it won't be long before they discover what everybody has been trying so hard to keep quiet. When the truth comes out, it could have disastrous results. So, what are the elements in the novel? What keeps it together? There's a slow buildup of tension as Adam learns about the remains being found and as decisions have to be made about what, if anything, to do about it. The police are inching closer to the truth, and people's lives could be shattered. The tension also builds as the story of that summer is slowly revealed, and bit by bit, we learn what happened. As the story goes on, we also learn about the friends who gathered that summer. We learn their backgrounds, and most importantly, we learn how they interacted, what their relationships were among them, and how that impacted everyone. We also learn what's happened to them since that summer. It's clear that what happened has changed everyone's life. All of these characters have estrangements and dysfunctions, so they're not looking at things with the perspective you might think. That impacts the story too. This is a psychological suspense novel, as I mentioned earlier. So those interactions, dysfunctions, and so on are explored. Part of the tension in the novel comes from the way these disparate personalities react to one another and how that leads almost inevitably to what happens in the story. There are two timelines in the story. One takes place in 1976 as the group gathers at Wivas Hall. In this timeline, we follow along as everyone meets and settles in. We learn how the personalities and events of that summer led to its outcome. The other timeline is in the present day. The police work to identify the remains, find out who was at Wivas Hall at the time, and make the connections they need to find out what happens. The truth about what really happened in the summer of 1976 is sad, and Vine takes the reader on the journey that leads to it. At the same time, you could argue that in this book, things aren't always as they seem. Readers who like the slow reveal of the truth and some twists along the way will appreciate that. A Fatal Inversion is the story of one hot, dark, tragic summer and the impact it's had on everyone involved since that time. It features a large Victorian house, a dark set of secrets, and a group of people who'd hoped desperately never to have to think about it again. This has been In the Spotlight. I'm Margot Kinberg. Thanks for watching.